Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So today let's have a look at the new Transcendent form of Hamelin. And yeah, I have kind of a policy where I don't do reviews of characters I do not have. And I do not have Hamelin. And then I also don't have Alice and Ducky, which is why I haven't done reviews of them. But Hamelin, I thought it was important to do a review of him, because he's kind of one of the more misunderstood characters in the game. And then also because, since he's brand new, he has a better chance of appearing in my friend list than he will later, probably. So I took this chance, he was in my friend list, so I went in a mission with him. And then, yeah, I'll be able to do the review here. So first, let's look at his stats. And his stats are very, very high, even by Transcendent form standards. And yeah, he is a HP tank. It's like 25, 26. His attack is also very high. With the gauge, he's almost at 30,000. And then speed is decent at mid 300s. So yeah, status, no complaints there. And then his abilities are no gravity barrier, and then on the gauge he has a status recovery, which can heal everything from like poison to stun to power down to speed down and those kinds of things. And then, yeah, we'll skip over his strike shot, and then his bump combo. It is the blast bump combo, and then the other bump combo is the 8-way laser, so same as a striker, Transcendent. And that is a fire element, that laser. Alright, so that's all pretty straightforward, all of that stuff. The wrinkle comes in the strike shot, which kind of negates gravity barriers of characters that he touches. And yeah, kind of how and where and when to use this is sort of tricky to understand, which is why a lot of people write off Hamelin. His strike shot, yeah, it cancels gravity barriers, and so when maybe your first impression is that why does Hamelin need to cancel gravity barriers when he has no gravity barrier himself? And that's not the reason to use it, of course. The reason to use it is so that he can greater enable other characters that he is playing with. And so you can open up gravity barrier quests to your other characters that do not have no gravity barrier. And then you would want to do this when they have a strong strike shot or a strong bump combo. And kind of the most famous examples are with Lucy or Kushinada, because they have that very strong Grand Command strike shot. But it doesn't work too well when people don't have no gravity barrier and there are gravity barriers around. So with Hamelin, you cancel the gravity barriers, and then with the next character you use the Grand Command strike shot, and that's very useful. Otherwise, you could use him to bring other characters with strong bump combos, for example. One example I can think of, a lot of people like to bring Susanoo to Izanami, but there are a lot of gravity barriers in there. So you can cancel those gravity barriers and then have Susanoo move around much more easily. Another good example is Tsukuyomi. Like Ki, for example, she's a good, she's got the Deity Slayer for the boss of Tsukuyomi, but there are the gravity barriers in the pre-boss stages. So with Hamelin, you can cancel those, and then on the next Ki's turn, she can move around freely in order to take down little guys and do damage to the boss. So yeah, in that sense, Hamelin is a great support character. And then on top of the canceling the gravity barriers, there's also status recovery and the blast bump, which makes him a kind of a top-class support character. He takes a little bit of imagination and also sort of party order preparation, but I think he could be worth it. And then you could also use him maybe if you were hunting for Hakua. And supposing like you only had good Hakua characters with null damage roll, or whatever, null warp or minesweeper, you could bring Hamelin, and then you can bring those characters into null gravity barrier quests, like Orochimaru or guys like that. So yeah, and then yeah, so that kind of takes care of his stats, and then also what missions you can bring him to. And then finally, as for able berries, that would be good for him. Again, I recommend this for all light and dark monsters, but Survivor would be good, so that he could go into light quests and then do extra damage without taking extra damage. Also, since his HP is so high, you can give him an HP boost. And then also for floor 24 for the Tower of Champions, you can give him, what's it called, Detox, so that he takes less damage from the poison, while also recovering other people's, or healing other people's poison. So yeah, those would be my suggestions there. Alrighty, so let's take him to a quest. And then I will warn you that actually Hamelin's strike shot does not come in very handy on this quest playthrough. So maybe the first part of this video will be more useful than the second. But I thought it was kind of a fun run through Takayasha. So what I did is I brought a bunch of guys with a Slayer, either a Demon's Bane or a Mancer Slayer, but nobody with no gravity barrier. So that we could make use of a Hamelin strike shot. But just kind of because the way things turned out, I didn't really use Hamelin strike shot because I didn't need it. And yeah, now that I'm playing Takayasha more with characters without no gravity barrier, I'm kind of seeing the advantages of it. And then if I were to farm Takayasha again, I might take an entire team of guys without no gravity barrier. But anyway. Alright, and then to talk about the other members that I'm bringing, first is Beelzebub Evolution. He's a Pierce with Demon's Bane, I think, and then no damage wall. So he can do good damage against the boss. And then next is Lady Shizuka Ascension, another Pierce null damage wall with Mancer Slayer, I believe. And then finally is Harley. She is a bounce Minesweeper with Mancer Slayer M. So yeah, everybody's got the Slayer for the boss, and then pretty good stats, I think. I could be wrong about that. Okay, so here's the first mini-boss stage. We want to try to stay away from the shields, because when we take them down, then they have an explosion that does a lot of damage to us. So we'll just try to maneuver our guys so that we can kind of do damage to the boss, but then also stay away from the shields. And yeah, Hamelin's strike shot is almost charged up already. It's only a 12 turn for the first tier. And then the difference between the two tiers is the 12 turn one, it gives some speed and power up of times 1.5. And then it erases gravity barriers for 4 turns. And then there's a second tier that's 16 turns. And that has the same multiplier for speed and attack, 1.5. But it cancels gravity barriers for 6 turns. And I would say that if you are in a pinch and you need to use the first tier, I would say go ahead. There's no real need to wait for the second tier. Since the speed and power up is the same. And then the difference between 4 and 6 turns of erasing gravity barriers, probably not that big a deal. Hopefully you'll be able to beat the stage within 4 turns anyway, so... Okay, so we got through that stage pretty well without taking too much damage from the shields. And then here is the last mini-boss stage. And this might be a good place to take down the gravity barrier. But even with the gravity barrier up, we saw that Beelzebub did pretty good damage. And I think we're going to see the same thing here from Lady Shizuka. Well, not really. We didn't get through the weak point. Okay, so here is Hamelin's turn. But really the only way that he could get at Takayasha to get rid of the gravity barrier would be to kind of go at a random angle. And then if I did that, the chances of me hitting a shield and taking damage are a little bit high, so I decided not to go for it. Yeah, so in that sense, this is not the best stage to kind of show off Hamelin's strike shot, since you really need to be careful about your positioning and your movement here. Okay, pretty good. Yeah, bump combos, they can be very useful for taking down the shields when you're far away from them. Okay, and there's that 8-way laser. Pretty strong. Okay, and another turtle stage. And yeah, we're seeing more and more kind of transcendent forms where they have a blast bump as one of their bump combos. And this is pretty great. I love always having a blast bump combo in there. And then that also means that if you were to play with a max luck, you wouldn't have to worry about using a max luck with a blast bump. So that kind of opens up your options for more characters. And so here, yeah, I was thinking about using Hamelin's strike shot again, but there wouldn't really be any point to erasing those gravity barriers, since I'd be able to take down the boss without doing that anyway. Okay, we'll just take advantage of the Slayer here. And then yeah, I can take my time with these guys. They're not too big of a deal. Alright, then we'll move everybody towards the top. And there we go. Alright, so if I had began this stage with Hamelin, this would have been a good chance to use the gravity barrier, anti-gravity barrier strike shot. But unfortunately we weren't able to do that. So we'll just do our best to do damage to these guys. And thankfully our bump combos were strong enough that we were able to take out that entire top row. So again, we're not going to need a Hamelin strike shot. And yeah, my favorite combination of sling style and ability is Pierce and a null damage wall. Because as we can see here, even in gravity barrier quests, they can still do pretty well. Okay, so with that bounce up and down, we were able to take down the shield, but not get caught in the blast, so that turned out pretty well. Then here we'll eventually decide on just doing direct damage to the boss. So that's pretty good. And then with this shot, I'm going to try to kind of nudge Hamelin away from that exploding shield there. See how that works out. Okay, well, didn't quite push him away far enough, but we have pretty good hit points, so no big deal. Okay, last stage. Alright, so here, finally, we're going to use a Hamelin strike shot. So we'll get rid of as many of these gravity barriers as we can, so that we can free up everybody else's movement. Alright, well, we got 3. That's pretty good. Okay, we'll use Beelzebub's Strike Shot, which renders teammates invincible for a certain number of turns. Unfortunately, I only hit Harley, but whatever. Okay, we'll use Shizuka's Strike Shot to sort of move her towards the top half of the screen. And then we'll just focus on doing damage to the boss. Okay. Whoops, there goes the speed clear, but oh well. Okay, pretty good. So yeah, I was very kind of nervous during that run, because this was my one and only chance to get the clear with Hamelin, because he was the only one on my friends list, and then of course after you use a guy, then he disappears. But yeah, that turned out well, and yeah, I don't know if it was a great example of kind of Hamelin's usefulness in kind of enabling your other team members, but that is what he is there for. So yeah, you can keep that in mind, and then kind of expand your view of how you could use Hamelin as support to other characters. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Take care.